Welcome back, guys. I'm Zell, and before us today we have a Strider SNG. Alright, guys. Nick sent this knife along, and initially I was preparing to do a big review and talk about Strider and a lot of things. However, in the midst of that, Strider has decided to shut down general production of Strider knives. And I kind of respect them for doing that, for deciding that they have come to the end of the run and deciding that it's time to close shop. Maybe they didn't have someone to fill in their shoes and to move things forward. I don't know, but I much prefer to see something like Strider or whatever close up shop rather than selling things off and becoming something that they weren't. You know, we've seen a lot of knife companies do that. We've seen them start losing money, and then they sell off to some group, and that group keeps the name running and starts producing junk, and with the whatever name on it. And I'm glad Strider didn't go that way. So what I want to kind of talk about a little bit today was that. And we're going to look at the SNG, of course. And it's a beautiful knife. I mean, they have some design cues and some things that they do that weren't done until Strider and Hinderer came along. And Hinderer is going to work into the conversation as well. But I said 25 years ago, I guess, Strider started making knives. And they were filling a niche that wasn't being filled. And I don't know how many of you really remember that time, and I don't remember it super well. I was pretty young also. But I do remember that there was a time whenever this was pretty much your standard knife. There were several different brands built like this and several different sizes. And that's pretty much what you carried through the 80s and the 90s until Spyderco came along with these, and your Delica and your Endura kind of started to change things. And this knife, though, wasn't all that great for your EMTs, your emergency personnel, and your soldiers. It just wasn't a good device. Did it work? Sure. And, you know, even today, some of the militaries around the world have a limited number of blades that you can carry. You know, the United States, we're not so much like that for the most part that I'm aware of. While I was in, I could pretty much carry whatever I wanted to, and I didn't have anybody breathing down my neck about it, but other countries are very strict about those things. And Strider came along and some other brands came along. Hinderer was one of them with their XM18s. And they built knives to fill that niche, to fill that void where people needed a heavy-duty knife. They needed something that would still cut, but was more of a tool you could beat on than it was a fine gentleman's knife, or a knife to use on the farm to cut open bales of hay and that sort of stuff, you know, feed sacks. So that's where these designs are rooted. They're rooted in that need for a heavier design. Now, we carry them today as everyday carry knives, which is not really their intent. But, and it's okay that we do that, but it wasn't what they were intended for. And over those 25 years, Strider, you know, they had their issues. They had all kinds of different controversy and stuff. But the one thing they didn't have a problem with was making quality knives. Strider knives are darn good quality knives. You know, this one is a rather beautiful knife. I'm not sure what they call that finish, but that's just beautiful. You know, they have this lockup design. It's a shared item with Hinderer. The thumb studs are your blade stops. The Hinderer actually has a blade stop of sorts in there, but the thumb studs are your stabilizers for the Hinderer blade. For the Strider blade, there's no blade stop in there. Your thumb studs are your blade stop. So that's some innovation on Strider and Hinderer. I don't know which one of them did it first, but they both use it, and it's a rather beautiful thing that they came up with that they came up with these designs. And I really do, even with all the controversy, appreciate what Strider and Hinderer come through and brought us. It's because of these two companies that we now have things like your Buck Marksman. It's because of them that we have a lot of these other knives that have turned into what could be tactical knives, but are wonderful, wonderful everyday carry knives. And if they hadn't come along and started to change the industry, along with Spyderco, we'd all still be carrying one of these. So, what I want to do is wish Mick and his partner a wonderful semi-retirement, at least getting the hassle of dealing with general production out of their lives. And from what I understand, Mick and his partner are still going to be making some customs and doing what they love, and that's a beautiful thing, and I wish them the best. And like I've said before, I really hope that Strider doesn't let the design fall away and they don't let it become something that's just a Chinese copy. I really, really hope that sometime in the next several months, not right away, but the next several months, we get a Strider branded knife from some company. Whether it's ZT or whomever they want to partner with, just so that we can still have a production Strider that's a manual knife. They have the collaborations with ProTech, and that's neat, but I would like to see them with just a manual knife company and someplace that can ramp up and down production with demand and make us some really beautiful Striders without Mick Strider himself having to be too terribly involved, so that he can continue to enjoy making the custom knives that he likes to make. But anyhow, this is an SNG, and it's a very, very nice one. Very simple one, but I really, really like that design that's come up on the back. And this is a micro melt blade, and I looked up a little on it, but I don't have a lot of information, but it seems to be a pretty darn good steel. And the Strider knife in general, controversies aside, is a very, very nice knife. So anyhow, Mick, if you're out there listening, enjoy yourself, buddy. I hope I get a chance to shake your hand at Blade Show here in a few weeks. And everyone else, you have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time.